Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Old School Wrestling Friday. We have a very, very, very special episode for you guys tonight, looking back at WCCW World-Class Championship Wrestling, something that is somewhat close to my heart because I caught it towards the very, very end. I got into wrestling in the late 80s. It really was thriving in the early 80s, but I still liked it a lot, even when it was dying out. And boy, was it good. We've had a chance, excuse me, we've had a chance to go over a lot of WCCW, and we're going to get very much into it over the course of possibly the next hour. So stick with us. Big Al here with you, along with Mr. TNA TJ.
Yes, yes, yes.
TJ, you want to say anything to everybody about WCCW?
Well, I really never watched it too much, but now when I'm watching it now, it's unbelievable. And I remember some, but God, it's like real. I don't know. To me, it's so real, man. It's like I'm watching a boxing event. I don't know. Just totally. And you get such a good feeling, like God, I wish I was there. And watching it live.
And the crowd was great. And I really do wish I was part of that crowd down in Texas, the Sportatorium. Boy, I don't know exactly how big the crowds were, but they looked pretty big, and they were wild. They were pretty into the show. They got into it. They bought into it. They liked their wrestling. And they really enjoyed the program, and it made it easier for you to enjoy it.
Oh, definitely. It was just, God, they took it to heart. If one of their good guys, got hurt or beat up or jumped, it's a big deal. Yeah. They would react. It wasn't like now, because now it happens all the time. But back then, God, the fans were so devoted to the good guys. Back then it was so different. If you're a bad guy, you're just a bad guy. That didn't fly back then.
Right. Sorry, everybody, got a little late in here, but we have tons and tons to talk about. We're going to talk about some matches. We were able to watch just a random card, thanks to good old WWE Classics, aren't they great? So we were able to catch that over the week, so that was great. And we're going to talk a little bit about those characters. You have to forgive me now. I'm no expert on the Von Erichs and WCCW because I wasn't watching. I wasn't old enough, really, at the time to be too into it during the early 80s. So, I'm going off the little bit that I've seen, but from the little that I've seen and all the wrestling that I have watched in my life, very impressive stuff. Very impressive stuff. They, like TNA TJ was saying, they took it very, very seriously as far as the interviews. You didn't see a lot of silly gimmicks. You didn't see any jumpings that were, outrageous. Of course, people, PSAs came out without any, music and would just interrupt, what do we see? We saw him interrupt an interview with.
Oh yeah, he got a jacket from his brother.
Yeah, Michael Von Erich.
Right.
Got a jacket from Kerry. Said it was his favorite jacket. Good booking here. Mom made it for him? I didn't catch that.
First match ever.
Wow. So, of course, Michael PSAs comes out from the Freebirds, the leader. Boy, he was great at this time. And he is just kicking up a storm, takes the jacket, rips it up. Oh, my goodness.
And throws, remember he threw David, or Mike.
So he threw Mike. What a bump. Mike looks like he might have tore his arm off.
Man.
It was bad. And, of course, we'll talk, about the Von Erichs and the tragedy, but that's kind of sad, especially after watching how good it was, especially when all of them were a part of it and the Freebirds were there. Man, it was hot. And, if the owner, the dad, Fritz Von Erich, had taken the show on the road, they might have been the WWF before the WWF. It was possible they could have been the big show. The Von Erichs were hot, but they say, Fritz didn't want to do that because in the old days you didn't step on other people's territory. You left those promoters to be, and you just stayed in your area. He stayed in Texas. So they didn't go out on the road, and, eventually it would meet its demise, but boy, great stuff.
Oh, awesome. And what a cool backstory on all these brothers that are wrestlers, and the dad, the owner, who's this awesome wrestler for his gen, is the owner of a federation. There's 4 of you. So
Didn't he remind you of, like, McMahon?
Oh,
the way Fritz Von Erich pretty much acted and was in that federation. He didn't say he was the owner. I don't believe that was ever stated. They didn't go that far, did they? He was just a wrestler.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but I don't think so. And as far as I know, he was just, there to support his kids. But, boy, he looked like a McMahon-type figure.
Oh, yeah.
He was tough. He was tough. The matches that we did see with him, he was stiff, and he looked like he was a rough worker.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
So what else? I know we have a lot to talk about, but I know you were just ranting and raving about Gary Wolf and the airplane accident that he got in. That was incredible. I had no idea. Tragedy, but unbelievable.
It's like a castaway. I mean, this guy, people died in front of him. Good friends of his. He had to, swim with another guy on his back because he had no feet. I mean, it sounds like it's fake, but it's crazy. What a tough SOB, man.
Yeah, that was they had a little, I believe, a program on, what was it, on a DVD that we watched?
Yeah, DVD.
Gary Wolf, unbelievable. I had no idea about that, and he hurt himself, got thrown from the plane. They got in a plane crash, and he said he was bloodied up, went to some guy's, some elderly couple's home, kicks the door in so that they would call somebody to help him. Yeah. Unbelievable. So he survived. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
But wow. Was that Federation cursed?
Yes.
I think if a curse exists, it definitely exists in WCCW.
Sure. They got Gino, died. Everybody. It seemed like the list went on, except for Kevin. Kevin made it.
Kevin was the sole survivor of the brothers. Yeah, lots of tragedy there. David, I believe, was the first. Stomach problems, some people say internal medicine, maybe he was taking too much, whatever the case may be. Boy, he was a talent, and I was telling TNA TJ, he kind of reminded me of like a good Kevin Nash, sort of tall. He was not a plain speaker, but he wasn't too crazy. Like, you believed in his character. Just like the Freebirds and Jimmy Garvin. I mean, all these guys, they just had character. They didn't act stupid, and if they acted silly, it was believable. Like, you and me might act silly and get outrageous at times. It's still part of their character, and they did it beautifully. I don't know how it's not being done today, but it's not being done at all. And it was then a lot in spades. Gino, you were talking about Gino Hernandez passing on. Just lots and lots of tragedy surrounding WCCW. Otherwise, if the Von Erichs, the story goes differently, I think it's a whole different ballgame. No?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You certainly would never see Kerry go into the WWF later on as the Texas Tornado. Yeah. If all his brothers, had made it, they would still be kicking, I think, at least for a little while longer. They had an offshoot of that, the USWA. I think I watched some of that when I was younger. You remember that part?
No.
No? Don't recall? Well, they talked a little bit about the USWA, but I do remember a little bit of it. They had a wrestler exchange program with WWF at that point. They let them have some wrestlers, like borrow. They would never do that today.
TNA getting John Cena for a few weeks.
That would never happen.
The WWE would be like, hey, we don't really need any of you guys. I guess they can borrow Big Show for.
You know what else? The Claw. I used to love the Claw as a kid. This was a big thing in the Von Erich family.
Hurts.
Yeah, David. That was his move. He was pretty good, man. I liked him. He was tall, redneck, country boy. A plain speaker, pretty normal. He got angry. He looked mean.
Yeah.
He had a lot of potential. Very deep voice.
Hello, you.
Yeah, like his dad. Like Pop. But, of course, I still think Kerry all around was really the total package.
Yeah, and tell me something else. Tell me they didn't match up teams together. Like, they look like they belong.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
All of them.
All of them.
Match.
The Freebirds belong. The Von Erichs belong. There's so much to be learned looking back at these wrestling federations that eventually, someone's going to rise up here, old school style, and take TNA's trash and take WWE's trash that they're giving us now out and give us something good again, because this stuff was so good, including the WWF stuff back in the day.
Sure.
But these days, boy, it's getting bad. So I just want to toot old school wrestling's horn because old school's where it's at. And at least we can go back and look at and watch these matches and enjoy this stuff. And I encourage everybody to go out there, get the DVDs, look at the YouTubes. You know, that old school stuff is good, man. And I think the 80s, people might disagree with me, but for me, the 80s was the time.
Oh, yeah.
I think the 80s was the era. Now, we all love the mid to late 90s with the Monday Night Wars. That was classic, of course. But overall, I think the 80s had it, and WCCW was great.
Sure, and the stipulations were so much more believable, right? Like, what was the one? He can't wrestle in Texas for 1 year. I could believe that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not ridiculous.
Michael Hayes and, was it Kerry Von Erich?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes,
and
Kerry Von Erich challenged him.
This was after, I think, he ripped his jacket.
Yes, that was all.
Yeah, that he was giving to Michael. Boy, what a tragedy with Michael, because, as you were saying, Michael really never looked like maybe he really wanted to be a wrestler or had the look of a wrestler. He was still, he cut it, you know, but
the odd brother out, pretty much.
He wasn't the odd brother out. I don't remember the name, unfortunately. I should have done the, well, the last one, the youngest one was the shortest, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris Von Erich, I believe.
But he was really the odd man out then.
Yeah. He killed himself because he just couldn't cut it in wrestling. He was too small.
Right.
They say that he worked a match and broke some bones. And
straight away.
It didn't work out for him. And so that was it for him. A lot of suicides.
And I'm shocked that Kevin didn't do it. You know what I mean? I mean, none of them were strong. And what a tough thing. I mean, can you be that strong? You know, it's not like you only had one brother. What, 3, 4 brothers? I mean, it's not.
What do you mean strong?
Like, you know.
They were all pretty big, man.
No, strong meaning like strong-willed. They aren't. None of them were strong-willed. They all killed themselves, except for one. And that was, you know, because he got sick. But they all off themselves. And Kevin's the only one that didn't. Like, I'm just saying.
Well, no, that's not true. That's not true now. David, stomach problems.
Well, that's what I just said. He was the only one that was sick, though. But, what, 2 out of the next 2 did?
Well, the youngest one, Michael.
And Kerry. Right, so 3 of them. That's what I'm saying. So all those deaths, right? And Kevin's the last one, and he doesn't.
Kerry's the saddest because he was such a big name, and for him to do that, I think was more heartbreaking. I couldn't believe it. When I was younger. He didn't want to go to jail because he got caught. He didn't want to disgrace the Von Erich name, but boy, that didn't do anything to help him either.
Right. Didn't help much.
Terrible. And it's a tragedy. R.I.P. to all the Von Erichs who have passed because this stuff was great. And I miss it. And I loved watching them. And I'm going to keep watching them. I got to see more of this stuff. I wish they had, or Vince McMahon would sell season sets. Or some, you know, I want to watch the story unfold over those years, you know, instead of just seeing it in bits and pieces, because unfortunately, you know, we weren't there, and I want to relive the moment, because I haven't seen it in its entirety.
I mean, we saw a little bit, remember, because Kevin already had died. Remember, it was the 2nd annual.
Yeah, well, we saw a lot of the they had memorial for David. How big would David have been? A lot of people believe Flair was going to give the title or drop the title, NWA title, to David before he had died. Could he have gone all the way?
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen, I haven't seen too much.
To be interested.
If Flair says that means something.
Well, he passed away, though.
No, I know, but Flair said...
Do you see a Ric Flair? Would you want to see a Ric Flair, David Von Erich match? Sure, but would you be that...
I don't know that Flair as that. Flair was a great...
Who was better, David or Kerry?
From what I've seen so far, Kerry.
Right.
Because he just has, I don't know, to me, he has more of the look.
He had more of the look. But David had a good personality, and I liked his mic work.
Sure, he was good on mic. But Kerry was just a freak, you know, the way he looked, you know, and crowd favorite.
I thought Kevin was good. He was good. He was sort of like the middle guy, but he was tough. He had a big motor, it looked like, from what I saw. He was running all over the place. Sure. Do you remember we saw a strap match, everybody.
Yeah.
Michael P.S. Hayes and Terry Gordy, who was awesome as well. What a big brute he was. And they had a strap match with Kerry Von Erich and Kevin Von Erich, and they really ripped each other's backs. I mean, you saw blood and welting. on the big guy, Terry Gordy.
Oh, yeah.
It was nasty. You know, they were really hitting each other.
Sure.
Kevin got hit in the face with a strap twice, very hard. Hayes hit him hard.
Oh, yeah.
Hayes, by the way, was stiff as shit. He was stiff.
Yeah, he was. If he hit you, he had to show you. He hit him.
Yeah.
He made a point of it, boy.
Let's talk about some of these matches that we happen to catch. Let's go over some of them. Because they're funny and they're good and they're interesting all in their own right, WCCW style. We saw the Destroyer number 2. These are 2 masked guys, the Destroyers. You know, this is as old school as it gets, everybody. Just 2 plain old guys with masks, the Destroyers.
Same outfit.
What's the Ultimate Destroyers or Super Destroyers? No?
I think just the Destroyer.
And, boy, they, same weight. No, you know, I said, man, you really got to be giving it for the team when you just give up all your identity and you're reduced to just a number. But then you got to remember, hey, they did it in ECW too, the Pitbulls.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
It works out though, especially for cheating.
They beat a guy named Mike Lee. I guess Mike Lee was sort of a popular jobber because "Go Mike Go" chant started. Go Mike Go. So, you know, interesting. He's probably a jobber, I imagine, who goes out there every week, and some of those fans who go there every week are developing an affection for this guy who's losing all the time. I imagine they never pushed Mike Lee.
Right. But he has little spurts in the ring. And then
when you're doing the job for Destroyer number 2, it's not a good sign.
No.
We watched a little bit of gorgeous Jimmy Garvin.
He's so cool.
You loved him.
He's such a character. I mean, look at that guy. If anybody ever has, go online and look at the pictures of this guy.
Better yet, watch the matches.
Right, sure.
I have to admit, I didn't know too much about Jimmy Garvin.
Not maybe.
I remember from the Freebirds, but remember I was, late 80s, 90s. Freebirds weren't huge then.
Right.
This was really, I think, their shining moments. And, whew, they were good. And Jimmy Garvin was a hell of a personality. This guy had full beard, bushy hair. This is a character. They weren't just a, plain. You can't do it really too much with the plain cut look, unless you're maybe John Cena.
Right.
Clean cut.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this guy could do it.
Sure.
What a personality he had.
He's like a playboy in a way, the way he
thought he was a playboy.
Right. Even heavy set and Terry chest.
Hope everybody's having a good time. It's Old School Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just getting started. WCCW was fantastic. And I think we can easily talk for an hour about this uninterrupted. This was sort of we didn't really promote this show too much or anything, but, if you're here with us listening, you got to go watch some WCCW. Do yourself a favor.
Oh, yeah.
World class, all the way.
DVD.
What's it called? The Rise and Fall?
No, Triumph? Something
Triumph? I don't know. Tragedy and Triumph?
Yeah.
Go look up WCCW, eBay, do whatever you have to do, YouTube it, I don't care.
Yeah, WCCW.
Watch it all. Watch the history, watch the matches.
Crazy.
Watch the skit. Boy, they had some good skits. They had a fella who was awesome, and I remember him a little bit from when I used to watch Bill Mercer.
Oh, yeah.
Who I thought was great. Where's the Bill Mercers of these days?
Right.
And he went everywhere. He was always trying to get the extra question, get the scoop. He went to interview Jimmy Garvin, went to his house. Jimmy Garvin finally came out, went on and on, wasn't going to give the interview, but ended up giving it anyway, and then took off. It was fantastic, and he kept pushing him. One more question. So kudos to Bill Mercer.
Yes.
So much to talk about. Should we get into our fever? I almost want to just do our fever right off the bat.
Go for it.
Not really off the bat, but to just do it. Ready, everybody? Let me find it. Let me find the wrestling fever. Oh, here it is. 1, 2, 3. WCCW style. Who do you have the WCCW fever for?
Jimmy Garvin. Oh, I could have known. What an awesome character. There is no guy that could pull that off now. They can't.
There's no one who could pull it off?
No. Name one. Go ahead. Shoot.
Who could pull off a Jimmy Garvin?
Yes.
A personality?
With his size, his look.
I don't know, man. If you brought that Jimmy Garvin into a time machine, you got to put him right at the top of the card. He's going right at John Cena, I'm thinking, because he's got that kind of personality. You know what? I think a lot of people who, don't think Michael Hayes deserves all the credit that he gets, I might stand corrected. You may need to go back and check your WCCW, because I also caught him towards the end, I believe, when he was losing steam. But, boy, back then I think he was phenomenal. He was like the Roddy Piper of WCCW, or the Ric Flair, more like, of WCCW. He was the leader of the Horsemen, the Freebirds, before the Horsemen.
Oh, yeah, before they were a group. The Horsemen were a group, definitely. He was just awesome. You could tell he was the leader, and when he split up, they were right. It wasn't the same.
Whatever could be, he was the leader, of course.
Like
Harry Gordy was a beast. The little fellow who took all the bumps, Buddy, was Buddy Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Of sad story on him, as well.
Well, yeah, he passed away. A lot of them, a lot of them since have passed away, but the tragedy was a lot of them had died young.
Right, yeah. No.
Luckily, no, I think the Freebirds, for the most part, they all survived.
Michael Hayes still doing Liberty.
Michael Hayes is still around doing them. You know that. I believe he's still working with Vince, isn't he?
Oh, he's
still on the booking committee. Yeah, he was on the booking committee. I know that for quite some time, if he still isn't. So he's been heavily involved with the WWE and stuck around for a long time. A lot of longevity from Michael Hayes. So stick that, Michael P.S. Hayes, the haters. P.S. Second match that we saw was the Iceman taking on Tonga John. Tonga John, everybody. Tonga John, who looked like, I don't know, what do you think that fellow, I didn't know who it was. He looked familiar that I definitely didn't know.
Yeah,
but it turned out to be Tonga John was the Barbarian. I couldn't believe it. The Barbarian of all people.
Ming,
and he looked just like Ming in his younger days. And it's a lot different. I think he was a lot bulkier.
Oh, yeah.
What a terrible name. Tonga John. Wasn't going to fly.
Yeah.
He lost, of course, to the Iceman.
Yeah.
We saw a promo with the Iceman breaking ice. That's how you establish some character. I'm the Iceman. I'm going to break some ice.
Carry it, big block on my back, and then I'll smash it on my forehead. And his booty bump, his finisher.
Oh, it was the butt.
Yeah.
His finisher, ladies and gentlemen, was the butt. He runs at you and turns around and sticks you with his butt.
Back to it out here, that butt.
He actually did the butt to the ice. It was unbelievable.
Smashed it, though.
He didn't even smash it.
What?
It fell. He knocked it over.
So hard to do.
It's hard to knock over ice with your butt.
Big block of ice, for sure.
The finisher, definitely. Okay, everything wasn't perfect, guys, even in WCCW. That one could have used a lot of work.
Well, listen, that one Italian guy does a little stupid snake thing. So it's just as bad as the butt or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? The goofy Italian guy.
Did you like the Freebird video, Bad Street, USA?
Sure. It was long as hell. It's like 5 minutes long.
It was pretty catchy, though.
Sure, but it was long.
Can you sing it? Do you remember it?
Bad Street, right? Something like that. That was the word.
In the USA.
No. That's something else. It's bad in the USA.
That was it. Bad Street in the USA.
Bad Street, USA.
Whatever. We're not doing this.
Forget it. It's a good song. Download it on your iPhone.
We then had old man Fritz von Erich come out on the program.
Oh, man.
And he told everybody that he had enough. He's pissed off. There was going to be, like you said, a loser leaves Texas match with Kerry and Michael Hayes.
Roll the tape.
And then they rolled that whole tape of Michael ripping the jacket apart.
What he did to Michael.
And I'm sick of this, and I've been watching, and just because I'm retired. Kudos to Fritz.
Right. Hey, he would be a hell of an owner now.
Oh, yeah.
The hell Dixie Carter.
Yes,
Fritz.
Please.
A 99-year-old Fritz.
And listen, I know I said I don't talk about the new age, but let's just say this because it tells you something about old school. WWE, for the 3-month period, most recent that they reported, down in pay-per-view buys by 16%. That's a huge drop in pay-per-view buys in 1 year, 16%. In addition to that, think about TNA. TNA and some of their live events, I read, they're drawing as little as 300 people.
I think I know 300 people.
I think there's a way we could probably throw a party that may get One,
right.
if we really work hard, 300 people.
Sure.
So how they can only get 300 out to the wrestling show for TNA, which has a television, it says it all for where TNA is at. And, boy, we need some old school. Someone needs to bring it back.
God, yes. Quickly, because I can't take no more.
All right, we're not going to get into that.
Done.
We are done. That's why we're talking about old school. That's why we're here talking about old school wrestling, and we're not talking about the garbage that is most of wrestling today. We're old school here.
Old school.
Don't worry, the show's not over. I just like that. I like that music so much. And you guys know that's the WCCW intro if you didn't know. So you should have known I was a big fan before, where we began the show, really, since that is the music that we use.
Oh, here comes the big clothesline. Oh, like that. Kick to the back. Oh, taxi back.
But it's simple. You see, it doesn't matter if it's a kick in the back or a leg drop or a clothesline. The pacing of the matches was better. The contrast between the heel and the face was better. They took their time building up angles. Interviews weren't interrupted. That's key. Everybody wasn't just roaming backstage. Every show feels like a backstage fucking party these days. It wasn't like that back then. You did interviews. You couldn't just jump people backstage all the time. You cut promos. There were matches. There was discussion. There was a little skit. I'll go, interview the guy here, or valet for a day. Jimmy Garvin's got to clean David Von Erich's dog. That's what they did. Okay, that's believable.
Right.
You lost. You got to clean up on my farm. Okay. Not you lost. You get 30 days with my wife. You won. Excuse me. Terrible.
Awful. And they didn't use music all the time with every wrestler that pops up.
Big complaint, yeah.
God, I mean.
Anytime a wrestler comes out, interferes, anything, we got to have music. Music.
His intro.
I get it, music's great with wrestling, but can we tweak it down just a little, lower it just a bit?
That's his damn intro. Do I have to hear it every time?
Hey, Michael Hayes is running through the crowd. He's going to do a jump. Somebody hit the music quick.
He's leaving now.
I imagine everybody who does a run-in goes to the table and notifies them, hey, we're going out. Hit it.
And I
can't go out without my music.
And I want them to know that I'm coming now.
So stupid. It's silly.
My
It's dumb.
music.
But back then, they acted like it was real. They treated it like it was real. So none of that silly crap was going on.
Exactly. It had to be believable. It pissed the fans off more. You just see a guy out of the blue yelling at a guy who's doing an interview, one of your favorite guys. You didn't even see it. You said, what the hell is this guy coming out? Not, and then here it comes. It's like, oh, wow. Like, that totally killed the suspense. The wrestler knows he's coming out now. It's so stupid. It's just bad.
All right.
Awful.
You got to get more into the old school because the new school these days is just going to frustrate you. It's sounding old, but whatever. Oh, no, you're not going to do that. Don't say that now.
It's so bad. I feel that way.
All right, I love that.
I get upset.
I get upset, too, and watching this stuff doesn't help because it reminds you how good wrestling was.
That's right.
Later on that card, we saw the main event. What a main event this was. Kerry Von Erich and Kevin, like we said, in the strap match against Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy on TV. How can you beat that? You're just putting that show on TV with straps and everything and these huge, awesome personalities and main eventers, great headline storyline.
Right.
Beautiful.
Well, they gave you the main event. The matches before were just jobber matches against cool guys. Guys the fans wanted to see, or a bad guy going at the jobber. You had to stay to watch a main event. Every match now, it has to be an all-star match. Sucks, man.
The writers are too concerned with everything has to happen in one show, because you're putting on a huge show for 14,000, well, not 14,000, not these days, but even if you're WWE, you're putting on a show for 9,000, 10,000 fans, you know, they don't want to see Rey Mysterio against John Smith.
Why not? I want to see it.
Well, they should fucking force them to. It doesn't matter if they like it or not.
I like some jobbers.
It doesn't matter if you like the jobber.
No, but I'm saying
the point is you get time to see you get time to see the wrestler in the ring, you see what the freak his moves are, and see how he is. The spotlight's on him. He gets the chance to just do him and show you who he is.
Right.
Instead of they have to compete every time you're throwing. It's so simple. How are they not getting this right?
I don't know. I've been calling for jobbers forever. I miss it.
TNA, fire everybody. Fire everybody. Please. So
sell the company.
I'm sorry, we got to get off. We can't keep doing this. We call always rant and rave about this. We'll get drawn back into that.
You don't want,
No, we don't need any more calls from that guy. Gino Hernandez.
Oh,
I thought he had a pretty good personality. I thought he was pretty funny.
Sure.
With the character he started out with.
Cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Very
him.
cocky.
Yes.
He had a little bit of the Rock in him, I think.
And he was the best looking dude ever. He was in movies, He was going to be.
That's what he said. He had lots of Hollywood offers, of course. He was a classic heel. Like we said, he died earlier as well. I believe some drugs, right? Drugs caught him.
Drugs got him.
Drugs tend to catch a lot of pro wrestlers, unfortunately, this day and age. Sad to see. But, then you got to ask yourself, what about David? Because there's a controversy there, too.
You
think it was?
I don't know. They seem pretty
stomach problems.
They seem pretty honest about what happened with everybody. I don't know why they would lie on that case. You know what I mean?
Well, I miss WCCW, and I miss old school wrestling. But I guess that's it. It's gone. It's not coming back, everybody. It had a great run for pretty much throughout the 80s. It became the USWA, like I talked to you guys about. Oh, boy. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've got a call coming in, and you guys know, I think, who usually likes to call the show, and that's the area code that we're getting. So welcome to the show, Jake Roberts.
Hello.
Fake Jake Roberts, of course. How you doing, Jake?
Jake Snake.
I know your number. It shows up on the ID.
All right. You were talking about drugs, and just want to let you guys know I'm sober for 30 days now.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Jake. That's good to know. I know you're back into wrestling. Are you enjoying the WCCW show?
Yeah, those guys, the Von Erichs, they're great. But I was wondering when you're going to get to some of my matches.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, I wasn't watching that early, but were you in WCCW, Jake?
No, but I did wrestle, and maybe you can, you and TNA TJ.
I know you wrestled.
Talk about it. But I had hard matches, and, I went to...
What would have happened if we saw Jake the Snake Roberts in WCCW right around the time the Von Erichs were at their peak?
Well, great question, Al.
Thank you.
I would have brought Damien with me, of course, and I would have probably been champion.
You think you could have held the belt?
Well, yeah, I was a big guy, and I knew how to move.
Do you think Ric Flair would ever lay down for you? He was supposed to lay down for David. Would he have done it for Jake? Are you all right, Jake?
Well, that's a funny question. And Flair knows I was better than him in the ring.
In the ring? I don't know about that, Jake. I don't know about that. You were great in the ring, great in-ring psychologist, but Ric Flair, come on. He's Ric Flair.
You couldn't kick out of the DDT, and I can do that to anybody. And
I know, you created the DDT.
Yes, Hogan didn't create the leg drop either.
All right. No, he did not create the leg drop. Jake, anything else you want to say before we get on with some WCCW, wrap up the show here?
I'm going to do an indie show and down here in Dallas. And I'm coming down to Florida. I'm going to do
Oh, you
CW.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think you're coming down to the CWF.
Yeah. Wrestling a young kid out there named Johnny Michael. I should win.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jake, and we wish you the best. I'm glad you came out of retirement for the 12th time. I didn't think this was – I thought I was going to be it last time, but I'm glad you're back.
Anytime, and I'm sending you my picture autographed for you free of charge.
Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome.
Take care, buddy. All right, everybody. That is Jake the Fake Roberts, this fella who calls in. He sounds just like Jake the Snake Roberts, but I really, clearly he's not Jake the Snake Roberts. We don't know who this guy is, but he sounds just like him. Very, very, very entertaining fellow, if you ask me. Have no idea who he is, no clue, so don't ask me. He's back on the line with us. I try to get rid of him, and he always calls me back. Yeah, what's up?
This is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and just want to tell you I had a great match with Jake.
Listen, Jake, you're embarrassing yourself now. You always do that. You try to call in and say you're someone else. You sound just like Jake the Snake. You're not Jake the Snake anyway. But thank you for joining us.
Sorry about that, Big Al.
No problem. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Jake, the Fake Roberts, ladies and gentlemen. And he comes and joins us every week, it seems, on Old School Wrestling Friday. So, I guess you guys are just going to have to get used to him. And he thought that he would be the champion in WCCW. And I guess he would be right up there with the Von Erichs, which definitely could have been. And it's too bad nothing ever got together with them. And, you guys would have heard from TNA TJ now, but, here he is now, coming back. I don't know where he just disappears to.
All right, bathroom break.
When that call
Number 2
seems to come in. Takes you a long time in the bathroom.
Taco Bell.
It's kind of funny that we seem to get Jake calling, and you just seem to disappear for long periods.
I ate Taco Bell before I came.
That's disgusting.
The truth. You want the truth? I give you the truth.
It's just odd,
No, it shouldn't be odd. I just don't want to, you know what it is? I don't want to get into it with him. I kind of got into him a little bit on Twitter, so.
I hate when that happens.
All right, not going there. He kind of doesn't like me.
What did you think of Kabuki?
I like him.
I know you
He would have been really cool for me to see. I don't even know him. I just, wow, what a cool, they did little promos for him. Like he's in some freaking rainforest. And he looked kind of crazy. He painted his face. He wore at different outfits. That's cool.
Yeah, he was an absolutely cool character. Unfortunately, though, they say he wasn't around for the real stretch run, which is too bad for him.
Yeah, man.
It would have been nice to see because he was a good character.
Sure.
I don't know how great of a worker he was. I didn't see too many Kabuki matches. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
And that's probably one of those wrestling sins. Yeah, I bet there's a lot of old school. You never watched Kabuki?
You don't know what Kabuki?
Kabuki. But he looked awesome. Very cool. Clearly.
Oh, man.
What else, man? WCCW went down in flames after the Von Erichs all passed away.
That's it.
Pretty crazy stories. I believe it was it the youngest? I know it wasn't Mike.
Hey,
I think it was the youngest that Kevin went up to him. He stopped him. He was by the, I guess it was by a river or something, a lake. And he said, I guess you saw my letter. He said, what letter? Kevin went back to look at the letter. I don't know why.
Right.
And the
That's
guy,
pretty,
and his brother killed himself.
Right. I'd be like,
terrible. Yeah, what letter, buddy? I'm not leaving nowhere because that sounds pretty morbid. But, not to blame, of course. Kevin
yeah, how would he know?
Of course. So, that's another tragedy, So you have, the death there, the suicide there. You have David with the stomach. You have Carrie.
So much.
You have a lot.
Oh, and then now the wrestlers, too. that were, you know, they were a family, the whole thing. Everybody there was kind of there for a while, except for, they said Hayes. Hayes left, but I mean, like, they were kind of the outsiders. But everybody else that was kind of a family. They didn't really go any other place. No. They didn't travel much, you know what I mean? Nobody did. They had your players that would come in here and there, but they were like a family, the whole thing, you know. So they were upset when one person died, you know.
Should we even mention Lacey Von Erich? I mean, she is the daughter of Kerry Von Erich. I know a lot of people get on her, you know, she's not the best wrestler, but hey, whatever. I'm glad that there's at least a Von Erich somewhere carrying on. So good for her. You know, keep carrying the torch. Even though she might not be awesome or, you know, the best wrestler, at least she does have the name. And, that's a good name.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever.
What about the...
at least someone has it and is carrying it. Good for her.
What about the fake Von Erich?
Oh, of course. Good old Lance. There was a guy named Lance Von Erich. And, boy, this tells you the difference between the wrestling crowds today and yesterday. Back then, you know, they tried to lie to the crowd, say, this guy Lance, he's Lance Von Erich. The crowd got mad. They just got pissed.
Bullshit.
You know, they revolted against that stuff.
Right.
Why are you lying to us?
Right.
Keep it real. You're really telling us, you know, these are really the Von Erichs.
Right.
No BS here, right? Okay, yeah, the Von Erich brothers. They're all brothers. All of a sudden now there's this pretty boy with blonde hair, Lance, showing up.
Right. Clearly didn't even act or look like a Von Erich. Remember, they tried to make it like he was a fit guy.
Yeah.
But everyone knew he was not a Von Erich. Pissed the crowd off, boy. They were not taking it.
Kerry Von Erich, 2009 Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Kerry was also the Intercontinental Champion.
Tornado.
When he was the Texas Tornado, which just never fit him. To me, Kerry Von Erich is just Kerry Von Erich.
Even at that.
So I guess that's pretty much it. I think we are going to pretty much wrap up, and that is pretty much Old School Wrestling Friday, everybody. So WCCW, RIP to the Von Erichs, RIP to WCCW. I have to give my wrestling fever.
Go for it.
My wrestling fever is for the guy that I watched growing up. I watched him when he was in WCCW. I watched him when he was in the WWF, and he always made an impression on me. I didn't like him, and I don't want to say I didn't like him, but I didn't follow him, or not follow him. Boy, I'm messing up my words. I didn't care for him as much when he was in the WWF. But Kerry Von Erich in WCCW is my wrestling fever for the night. He had a great look. He was a great wrestler. And more importantly than all that, he was so good on the mic and so believable. And I thought he was like a Ric Flair as a face. He was like the gentleman's champion, so to speak. And as he got older, I think he just started to look like a little different. I don't think he aged as well, and I think the drugs were catching up with him, and you could tell. But when he was young, you know, he was the man. And my hat goes off to Kerry Von Erich. That's my fever. Thanks. I was stumbling over that one a little bit. But R.I.P. Kerry. That was a tough one.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yes.
R.I.P. to Sparky Anderson.
Oh.
Have to give that. Greatest manager ever.
R.I.P. to Sparky. All right, everybody. WCCW, we will miss you. You'll always be in our hearts, and we will see you guys the next time we go old school. And we could revisit WCCW and maybe talk about them, but we have a lot of ground to cover, don't we? Oh. We have so much. So many different federations that have come and gone. So many different wrestlers to profile.
God, yeah.
So we have a lot of. We're going to keep ourselves busy with that. Old School Wrestling Friday. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next time we do it. Might be next Friday, might not be. Stick with us. Find us on twitter.com/kickasswrestling, and also watch us, youtube.com/kickasswrestlingshow. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 o'clock, for all the latest wrestling news, TNA, WWE, what's going on today, news, rumors, results, all that good stuff, tomorrow at 6. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Big Al, TNA TJ. Peace. Good night and good luck.